Hey, it's Leland Baptist, and thank you for being here. So, I want to share a conversation that we had with a group coaching. This took place about a couple weeks ago, and this is really important for those who are looking to join Asset Builders Club, but you're looking for more of the done with you service that we have, right? So, not the one where we do it all for you, but you're looking to learn how to do it, and you want us to help you in that process, right? So we were having one of our weekly calls, and we were going over some of the marketing material, sharing different marketing materials and different marketing websites with the clients. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, Leland, if you guys are helping people with investing, what the heck does that have to do with marketing? And the answer is everything, because either we can do it for you, right, or you want to do it yourself. We're gonna have to show you why certain tactics work versus others. Okay, so and especially when it comes to using no money down strategies to build your portfolio, especially in the earlier phases. Okay, so here's the thing: far too often, when clients start working with us, they are reading books, watching free videos on YouTube, whatever else, where they're hearing that people are quote unquote scoring deals basically from, I guess, like the crowbar effect, right? Basically, finding someone in a bad situation, just hitting them over the head, like, hey, sell me your business, sell me your property, right? Sell me your investments. And the truth is, is that approach is more of a bull in the china shop approach. In actuality, whenever you're looking to take more of a quote unquote rifle or sniper approach instead of a shotgun approach, especially if you're starting off in the early phases where you don't have hundreds of $1,000s to throw towards different investments. You want to go ahead and get your feet wet, build your portfolio so that you can become more comfortable and build that particular asset class, right? So that has everything to do with marketing. Okay. So of course we give the tools, the websites, et cetera, for this, but I want to explain the psychology behind it. See, every company that is ran well understands that not everyone is their target market. Okay. Yes, that's correct. Not everyone is their target market. So you're probably wondering, like, what? How is that possible? Blah blah. Listen, not everyone is a target market. I don't care if you're looking at a multi-billion or even trillion-dollar business like Facebook. Not everyone is Facebook's market. Okay. As a matter of fact, when Facebook first started, they actually started offering user logins only to individuals who were currently enrolled in Harvard University, primarily the undergrad program. Once they were able to see that that was successful, they then branched out a little bit more and they offered it to other Ivy League schools. Then they branched out a little bit more after seeing that pilot successful, and they offered it to only college students. And then they branched out, right? But it started with a very specific approach. It started with a rifle approach, okay? So, not a shotgun approach. Too often people think that it has to be a shotgun approach, all right? And one of the biggest myths out there when it comes to finding deals, especially if you're starting off with a low budget or not a lot of money at all, is people will tell you to go ahead and invest thousands and thousands of dollars into mailers. And although mailers do work, right, it's something that you have to be consistent with. But if you don't have let's say $3,000 to set aside, that's probably not going to be the best route for you, especially if you're looking to do this so that you can actually gain investment property to gain cash flow. Keep in mind, mailers don't just work for investment properties. Mailers also work. It's a tactic that also works when it comes to finding businesses to purchase, right? Small businesses. But if you're just going to blast out mailers to all these businesses within a certain zip code or all these homes within a certain zip code, that's still a shotgun approach. You want to be you still have to zone that in more, okay? So what you're looking at here is a funnel. Now, although many people associate the funnel with digital marketing, this applies to anything, especially things where you're prospecting. All right. Because you have to understand, number one, write this down. Okay. Marketing is meant to segment. Marketing is meant to segment. Okay. On the second level, marketing is meant to educate. But number one, marketing is meant to segment. So in the very top of the funnel, you have awareness, right? And it gives you different examples of how someone can gain awareness on the top of that funnel. Well, when you have the reason awareness has the biggest capture right there, the biggest amount of bandwidth, is because there are going to be people that will become aware of your marketing message that are not in your target market, right? For example, if you're looking for businesses, looking to buy businesses that have earnings over $500,000, you may have an advertisement that's out there, right, and it's going out to business owners. But how would you be able to know whether John versus Mary is actually owns a business that earns over $500,000 a year? You would have to segment that, right? You would have to find a way to differentiate both individuals, because you could look at someone who just opened a business yesterday as a startup. You could look at someone that's had a business for the last 10 years and yet only earns, let's say, maybe $10,000 annually, right? So once someone becomes aware of it, they then go into what right here it has the consideration mode. This is a mode where they become a little bit more familiar of what they need. A great platform that gives that understanding is Google or YouTube. When people are looking to find something, they normally type in how to, right? And so those are great examples of that. And there's research behind it where we can show you how to find that, and all those trends, et cetera, et cetera. And then once they're able to say, you know what, I do have that issue, I do have that problem, I'm willing to have that discussion. I'm willing to have to quote unquote go into the next step. That's when the marketing then begins to educate, where it says conversion. So right here on this funnel example, it's saying remarketing, free trials, drip campaigns, right? Targeted specific campaigns. Because when they're at that stage, they've already said, hey, I do have that problem, right? So in other words, think about different diseases that take place, or if you want, you can think about certain illnesses or things like that that are in the market today. The general population first has to become aware of the illness. From the initial awareness, from the initial reports, they then have to consider, is this something that I should do? Is this a cure that I think could help me? Do I think this could be preventative, right? Then they go into that conversion where someone will say, you know what, this is for me, or I do think that this is a step that I need to prevent this illness. Let me become more educated, or let me learn more about it, right? And that's where that middle part right there, that light orange area comes from. Once they make the full commitment is when someone is purchasing, booking, subscribing, activating. All right. If you're visiting a physician or doctor, this is at this point you are agreeing to that solution. So if it's a pill, then you're getting your prescription, right? They're writing your prescription at that point, the activation. And once you go pay for it, pick it up, you're now enrolling into that, right? Netflix does a fantastic job of this. They make people aware of what Netflix has to offer. People then get to decide whether they're going to consider it or not, right? So you're like, oh, what's Netflix, right? You have to be aware of it first. And then you say, oh, well, what does Netflix have, right? That's the consideration part. And then you say, okay, that show looks like something I would like. Let me try that out. That's the conversion part. Then after the free trial is a purchase or the activation or the subscription, right? And then ultimately, as you continue to use that service, or as you're in that process, right, as a customer or as a client, then it goes into the retention. And then upon having a successful experience, it goes to advocacy, where now you begin to tell others about your experience, and it forces other people to become more aware at the top of the funnel. How does this relate to investing? Everything. Because as an investor, as you're looking to add things to your portfolio, you have to know exactly, one, who you want to target. So you want to make those individuals aware of what you're looking for. They have to be able to consider, based on that information, you know what, maybe now is the right time for me to sell, right? You know what? I do have that particular tax issue. Now is the right time for me to alleviate or exit out of this business. I want to learn more about that. I want to understand how they could possibly help me get out of that situation, right? Then when they have that phone call with your team or with you or the contractors that we give you the scripts to have, that fill the calls for you, they then go into a quote unquote activation or booking the phone call, right? Now we're in the middle orange part. Once they agree, then it goes into the orange area, the solid orange area of that loyalty, and they're within a process. All right. And then upon success, they'll either leave a review or at least tell others about that success. All right. Same process here, but one of the great things as an investor is you want to make sure that you have a system or systems in place that will attract people so that you're able to do business with those that you want to do business with. As an investor, we all have limited amounts of resources. That's why we may partner up with other investors. That's why we may use OPM. That's why we may tap into our various credit lines, because ultimately we want to get our returns, but we don't want to deplete our liquid, right? And a great way to sift through all the noise is to figure out what's the right investment. But we have to understand that many of these investment opportunities are tied to individuals. They're tied to people. They're owned by other people. It could have been someone that inherited that business. Someone inherited that piece of real estate, right? So just because you like that property or just because you like that business model, it doesn't mean that that person is going to sell to you. They have to be a willing participant that actually has to consider that they do want to sell. That then they have to be educated on what that process would look like, right? That's how this all ties in. And understanding that, having the right systems, which we give to our clients, is a key way to differentiate yourself in the market. Without understanding this, you end up missing a lot of the middle piece, a lot of the inner workings, and you're trying to figure out why something isn't working. It's because you're missing steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is where you're able to nurture. This is where you're able to educate, because the more and more that you can educate the seller, that is what enables them to want to do the transaction. That's what enables them to say, you know what, actually, you know what, Leland, I'm 100% okay with you making payments over time, because now I understand the benefits that it has for me as a seller, right? That's how you're able to get more of these beneficial deals. But you have to take them through the proper channels and proper processes. In order to do that, you have to have the right system. So I know this has served you. Please take notes. This is so important. I'm telling you, this is so important, especially when it comes to what people call deal flow. It doesn't matter how many quote unquote deals you may be aware of. If you don't have a good way of filtering them out and nurturing what is presented to you, it's not going to matter. So with that being said, I will talk to you on the next one.